Hey friends, I'm Mel and welcome to my kitchen. It is the most exciting video of the year, the one where I collab with the pioneer woman herself, Miss Ree. I know she's got all of her friends and family gathered at the lodge, just waiting with bated breath for me to make all her favorite dishes. Just kidding friends, y'all know that Miss Ree doesn't even know I exist. I do love to try her recipes, and every year I like to show you some of the new ones that I've come across. So I've got 2 great casseroles, skillet type dishes, a yummy salad, and believe it or not, another brownie, even after last year's debacle. Sit back, relax, and let's cook Pioneer Woman style tonight. We're going to start this morning by prepping some chicken in the crock pot. I like to spray it really good with some nonstick spray. I have actually 3 good sized boneless, skinless chicken breasts. These are really big and I'm using my smaller crock pot, so I'm going to sort of season them in a layer here. I'm first using my Auntie Nono's, which is salt. It also has onion powder and garlic powder in it. Then I'm going to throw on a little bit of Italian seasoning. I had like a tablespoon of butter left in my butter dish from breakfast this morning, so I'm going to throw that in there. Putting the lid on there, and I'm going to cook mine on high for about 4 hours. Then we should be able to shred this up very easily. This is a great no-hassle way to prep chicken for recipes you're going to use it in during the week. I like to do this at least every other week. It's flavorful, it's juicy, it's cheaper than a rotisserie chicken, and if you've got a freezer full of meat, don't let it go to waste. You've already seen the chicken. Now here are the rest of just very simple, basic pantry staple ingredients for this casserole. It's a pasta bake, but it's a chicken bacon ranch pasta bake. I've got 4 slices of bacon over here. They're just beginning to start frying up. Then we're going to throw about 4 ounces of this pasta into our pot and get it cooked up to al dente. We're just going to take our bacon up when it's nice and crispy, set it aside, but leave your drippings in your skillet. Because into our grease, we're going to put about half of a diced onion, and I'm actually using some of this bag of frozen chopped onions. That's a nice time saver, and I'm going to give these just a minute to soften up in here by themselves since they are frozen. There's not a whole lot of chopping to this recipe. Pretty much just these green onions and the regular onion if you didn't have frozen. I've got Patrick in here helping me tonight. He's grating up an 8-ounce block of Monterey Jack cheese, and he's having to use this little zester that I have because I cleaned out a lot of my kitchen stuff and I'm tired of gadgets, and he's paying for it, ain't you? I'm sorry.
Can you not buy this already shredded?
Yes, and most of the time I do buy my cheeses already shredded, but I had this in the freezer and I've been like working through my pantry and freezer stuff. So I thought instead of mozzarella, which is what this called for, I had this Monterey Jack and I thought we'd just use it. Now that my onions are good and soft, I'm going to add in just a little bit of minced garlic. This has been cooking about 5 minutes on a medium-low. Now I'm going to add in that cream cheese, and this is only 4 ounces, half that block, and I've got it cubed up. I'm also going to add in 1 cup of milk, and I'm going to stir in 1 tablespoon of this bottled ranch seasoning. If you were using the dressing envelope packet, you would use about half that packet. And I'm going to add about half a tablespoon more because we just like a little bit of ranch. I'm also going to take maybe half a cup of this Monterey Jack that Patrick shredded up for me, maybe a little more. And we're just going to stir all this together. Keep mixing it until everything is just very smooth and creamed all together. And this is going to make a beautiful sauce for our chicken and our pasta to go into. Once our sauce is nice and smooth, we're just going to remove it from the heat. Today's video is sponsored by Toon Blast, and I can't wait to show it to you. It's a fun but challenging puzzle game where you solve the puzzles by blasting cubes and creating combinations to get to the next level. Best of all, it's a free-to-play mobile game that is available on all devices, and you don't need Wi-Fi. It's easy to learn, and there are no ads while you're playing. Life is stressful, and when I get a minute to relax, I really enjoy all the fun animations, the great graphics, and the cute Toon Blast gang of characters. And with over 7,000 game levels, I don't think I'll run out of magical worlds to travel to anytime soon. And I love the mini games all along the way. They're really fun and a great way to get extra rewards. Another great way to play and unlock rewards is to join and play with a team. And the more active your team is, the more lives and coins you'll earn. Players from all over the world can join to compete in the events and win great prizes. Toon Blast has high ratings and millions of reviews on Google Play and the App Store. And if you download Toon Blast through my link, you'll receive 3 hours of unlimited lives and 100 free coins. You can click the link in my description box or scan the QR code that's here on the screen to download Toon Blast for free and enjoy playing today. Let's see if that casserole is ready to go in the oven. Now into our sauce, we're going to put in about 2 cups of the shredded chicken. We're also going to add in our cooked pasta, and you can use any kind of pasta you want here. We're going to stir in most of our green onion, just leave a little bit out to garnish with, and very, very carefully we're going to stir all of this together. I'm also going to add a little salt and pepper because we don't have any seasoning in here except what's in our chicken and this ranch powder. Well, we got our garlic and our bacon and all that, but I don't know. I just feel like it needs salt and pepper. And I do need to mention, you could definitely use a rotisserie chicken for this. That's actually what the recipe said to use, but I didn't have a rotisserie chicken laying around here. And if you wanted to add some vegetables to this meal, you could throw in some fresh spinach right here, and it would get pretty well wilted down. Or you could cook you some broccoli or maybe some frozen corn up with your pasta and stir all that in here. But Patrick's done had a kale salad this week, so I ain't gonna do him like that. Now here's where me and Ree differ. Well, not just here. She actually said to take all this cheesy mixture, put it in a bowl, then pour all your pasta in there and your chicken, and then put it in a casserole dish. That's too many dishes. Too many dishes, Ree. Us home cooks have to do our own dishes. So, I just did it all in the skillet, number 1, and I'm not transferring this to a casserole dish. I've got these good Calphalon pans. They're oven safe. I used my big one, so I've got plenty of room. So I'm just gonna top it with some more of this Monterey Jack cheese. I really think a cheddar cheese, a sharp cheddar cheese would be delicious with this because that's normally what you do with chicken and bacon and ranch. You usually use a cheddar cheese, but hers did look really pretty with that white mozzarella. So Monterey Jack's very mild. We're just going to use it all. Then I'm going to take that bacon and put it right over the top. Boy, it's pretty already, ain't it? And if you have those bacon bits, like the real bacon bits in the bag, I use them in recipes all the time. I'm going to put this in a 375 degree oven. The recipe says to cook this for 25 to 30 minutes until it's brown and maybe a little crunchy on top in your casserole dish. Since I have it in my skillet that's already hot, I'm going to set my timer for 20 minutes and we'll check it. Well, little Miss Ree was right. It took exactly 25 minutes, and look at that beautiful, beautiful thing. Look at that sizzly goodness all around those sides. Can you believe this is half of that recipe? Have to let this cool, and we are going to dig in. This might be my all-time favorite Pioneer Woman recipe now. This was delicious. All the things I love. I'm really glad I put the extra half a tablespoon of ranch powder in there. I suggest you do that. When I only use a tablespoon, it seems like it's never enough in anything. So, you do you, but that's what I did, and we loved it. And again, this was just half of her recipe. I will have all her originals linked down in the description box for you so you can feed an army if you need to. Tonight we're making the Pioneer Woman Cowboy Casserole. I'm starting out getting some bacon going over here in my skillet. Here's all the ingredients. It looks like a lot, but it's really not. These are basic pantry staples that you have. Mine just take up a lot of room because I've got 3 pounds of meat here. Of course, we're just going to use a pound, and these tater tots take up a little bit of room on the counter too. Oh, and a note on the tater tots. I just now pulled them out of the freezer. You want to set them out on the counter just, while you're working. You don't want them thawed out completely, but they can be, beginning to thaw. I'm going to chop up a couple of green onions. I'm using frozen diced onions in the actual casserole itself. I'm glad I had those on hand because when I went to Aldi, I missed that whole aisle. And people had that blocked when I was shopping, so I thought, I'll go back to it. I completely forgot it. I am leaving my bacon grease in here, and I'm going to be really careful because these are frozen onions that I'm putting in here, and it is going to make that hot grease pop. Okay, it's simmered down now. I'm just going to cook these about 4 minutes until they get, kind of soft and translucent. Now that the onions are nice and soft, let's go ahead, throw in a couple cloves of some minced garlic. And we're just going to cook that about a minute. It is smelling delicious in here. And now we're just going to add our pound of ground beef in here. And we're just going to get it all crumbled up. And we're going to cook this all the way through. I don't know if I mentioned, this is a skillet meal. I love a one skillet meal. If you've been here anytime at all, that is one of my favorite things. Just like always with my ground beef, when it is just about done, I'm going to take a paper towel and get up some of this excess grease so it won't be too bad greasy. Once this ground beef is good and done, we're just going to move it off the heat and add the rest of our ingredients. The first thing going in is 1 can of cream of mushroom soup. We're also going to stir in 3/4 cup of milk. We're going to put in some black pepper. The OPW says to salt this, but I'm actually going to use my Auntie Nono's. This does have salt in it, but it also has garlic powder and onion powder. I thought that would be a great addition. At this point, the recipe says to put in 3 cups of fresh spinach and let it wilt down. I did not have any spinach, and I forgot to get any. So we're just going to omit that, but we are going to add in the 1 cup of corn that it calls for. Now I'm just using some canned corn that I've drained, but you are welcome to use frozen corn. It would cook up fine in here. As a matter of fact, if you wanted to give this sort of a shepherd's pie feel, you could use mixed vegetables in here. Then we are going to spread 2 cups of cheese right over the top of this. I'm using a mild cheddar. You can use whatever you like. Just want to get it all over the top of this. Here comes the party. We got a 32-ounce bag of tater tots. Now, you can just throw them on here all willy-nilly like this, or you can make them in a design all perfectly. It is up to you. You do want to try to get them in one layer though, so they can get nice and crispy. And if you don't have an oven-safe skillet big enough to handle this meal, you could just turn all of this out into a big pan and top it and cook it up like that. I just don't like doing dishes, so I try to make everything fit. And the last bit of cheese is going to be some Parmesan across the top of your tater tots. You can use the grated kind in the can, but I had this in my fridge that needed to be used up. I'm gonna go back over the top with some more Auntie Nonos and a few cracks of black pepper. And we're gonna bake this in the oven uncovered so those tots can get nice and crispy at 375 degrees for about 30 or 35 minutes until it's nice and golden brown on top. Oh friends, this is bubbly goodness. Look at that. I went ahead and crumbled up and chopped up that bacon I fried and put it over the top along with some green onions. You need to let this sit for maybe 10 minutes before you serve it up. Let everything kind of get all set up in there. This is so good. If you love meat and potatoes, this is going to be right up your alley. Patrick absolutely loves this one. He said you need to make that again. He is already ready for it. I took some into his parents and they enjoyed it too. I know you're going to love it. Now I had to try a salad that I had been eyeing for a while. It's a little early, but we're going to make a winter squash salad. I love butternut squash. I also buy it frozen in a bag just like this. It's a super easy, quick way to do it. But my cousin Larry brought me 2 really nice butternut squash. And I just want to show you real quick how to prep these. And they are really hard. You can hear really thick, you know, kind of like a sweet potato. But I just take a really good sharp knife, and sometimes you got to rock it back and forth. But how I like to do it is cut the ends off, and it's easier for me to hold it. But I do that, and then I come through and peel it. So I would say right there is about as good as I'm going to get that one peeled. Just going to give it a big slice right down the middle. Then you can just use a spoon and get all of this soft stuff with the seeds in it out. And if you want to, you can roast these seeds. Once you get all of the seeds and that stuff out, you're just going to put them the flat side down and then start slicing them up. And I like mine in pretty small bites. Number one, it's easier to eat if you're, you know, just roasting it and leaving it in pieces. And it just cooks up so much quicker. The great thing about squash is you can get it to this point right here, and I can throw it in a freezer bag, and I can put it in the freezer in one flat layer, and I can just pull it out whenever I want some, and I've already got it prepped and good to go. I'm going to roast up just a little bit of this squash, and I'm just going to do, maybe a cup. Just going to give it a little bit of olive oil, some salt, a little bit of pepper, and this is totally optional, but I'm going to use the tiniest sprinkle of cinnamon over mine. I just want it to have a little bit of a sweet, deep flavor. Just going to toss it all with my hands real good, get it in one flat layer. Then we're going to roast this in the oven, 425 degrees for about 20 minutes. And I'm going to check it halfway through. We'll probably toss it around a little bit and make sure it gets cooked all evenly. When it's done, it'll be nice and soft and tender, and some of the outsides may be getting just a little bit brown and crusty. Did I mention we're kind of doing this in backwards order tonight? We are going to make us some candied pecans. We're going to start with a half a teaspoon of some maple syrup. Also going to put in a half a teaspoon of some whole grain mustard. And I have this in a little bitty skillet here on about medium-low heat. And did I even tell you, we're making a salad. We're actually making like a winter salad. And I am only doing about half of what this recipe calls for. I'm putting in probably 3/4 of a cup of pecans, and I'm just going to get them nice and coated in here. And you can definitely buy little candied pecans in a bag. You can find them with the salad toppings. Now that I have them all coated, I am going to hit them with just a little bit of salt, and I'm just going to let them toast up probably about 5 or 6 minutes. but you know they're done when you don't have any liquid left and they're kind of sticky and coated with sort of a crunchy feel to them. But I'm just going to set them back here on a plate with my roasted squash and let all this cool. Let's make a dressing, and remember, I'm making half of this recipe. I will have the original linked below for you with the full ingredient list. But we're going to use a 1/4 cup of red wine vinegar. We're going to use 2 teaspoons of a grainy mustard. You could also use a Dijon. 2 teaspoons of maple syrup. A 1/4 cup of olive oil. Going to crack in some black pepper and a little bit of salt. Give this a little stir and set it aside. If you put it in the fridge, you'll just need to set it out and let it come up to room temperature before you dress it, or it'll kind of separate on you. The body starts with about 3 ounces of kale, and I'm using tons of pre-chopped veggies for this. Makes it super quick and easy. I'm also going to add about a teaspoon of lemon juice and a 1/2 teaspoon of olive oil. And here's where it gets really fun. We are going to massage this oil and lemon juice into these greens, and this will make them turn a really deep, dark green. And it also just takes away a little bit of the bitterness in kale. We all know kale is really good for us, but if you don't cook it and you're eating it raw, to me it does taste kind of bitter. Look how pretty and green that got. I'm going to use one of these chopped salad kits. You could use a chopped coleslaw kit. Basically, you just want some veggies, some cabbage, some carrots. I like this because it had green onions in it too. I like a little bit of the red cabbage in mine. And I'm going to use about 3 ounces of this as well. I think it's the Sunflower Crunch kit that has the Brussels sprouts in it. I would have loved that. I'm also going to take me a red apple, and I like to leave the peel on it because I like for it to show up in the salad. And I'm just going to thinly slice this, just as thin as I possibly can. And I'm going to put about half of that apple down in here. And then, of course, I'm going to save just a little bit to put on the top. Let's go ahead and give this a nice big toss. Look how pretty and green. Put a good helping of these candied pecans in here. They are so good. I've already been munching on them. The Pioneer Woman uses goat cheese, but I had some feta cheese, just a little bit because it's pretty salty, and I'm not a big fan of a lot of that in a salad. Let's sprinkle some of our squash in here. Look how pretty that is. And it is just mildly got a cinnamon taste to it. The Pioneer Woman also had the little things inside the pomegranate. I'm not even going to try to say that, or the pomegranate, sorry. Pomegranate is a whole nother animal. But I've got some cranberries, some craisins, so I'm going to put those on top. Let's drizzle just a little bit of our dressing over the top. Oh man, this is so beautiful. This salad was so beautiful and just as delicious. Patrick even ate this with me. He especially loved those pecans. Now, will I make this again? Not like I did here. I'll probably use, my frozen squash, and I'll buy some pecans already candied up. But this is such a substantial salad. It was so good. All my salad lovers, you all are gonna love it. Now, before we get on to dessert, I want to throw in just a little bit of information about my regular salad fixings for you too. And you guys knew this was coming. I love a big salad on the side of every meal, especially a skillet meal or a casserole. And I know you're going to get sick of hearing this if you're here often, but I get this question every week. How do you keep a salad fresh all week long? You got to wash that salad really good. You have to use this salad spinner or dry it with paper towels. Let it lay out. You got to make sure that salad is good and dry. Then I store it in a big Ziploc baggie, and I put a paper towel in the side of it to keep the water off, and it will stay fresh all week long. We are going to make the TikTok viral Dr. Pepper brownies. I did find these on the Pioneer Woman's website, but it's not her recipe. If you were not here the last time I made Pioneer Woman brownies, let's just take a look. So I probably should have done that. It's pulling apart. I'm just going to loosen mine and tear it. Oh, this is a mess. We're going to go in the quadrant method. Of course, it is still tearing apart. It's just pieces of any kind. Things did not go exactly as I had planned, but we're going to see what's going to happen tonight with these. As with most of the TikTok recipes, you get bare minimum instructions. They said 1 box of brownie mix. This is just a regular milk chocolate, Betty Crocker one. You can make it in a 9x13 or an 8x8 or 9x9. We're going to add in a 1/2 cup of oil, and we're going to put in 2 eggs. Toss yourself a handful of chocolate chips in there. A little extra. And a 1/4 cup of good old Dr. Pepper. I'm using Dr. Pepper Zero because that's what I've got. I've seen this made a couple different ways where you just substitute the Dr. Pepper for the oil. I've seen it where you use nothing but Dr. Pepper and the mix. But this is the TikTok that Ree mentioned, and I will leave it down below for you to check him out as well. Look at it. It's like a science experiment. Can y'all see that bubbling down in there? Can y'all see that? It's fizzing. We're going to do just like the guy on TikTok said and use butter to grease our 8x8 dish. And I'm worried, I'm thinking I may be here this time tomorrow waiting on an 8x8 dish to cook up. But you know what? We're going to roll with it and we're going to go with the 8x8 dish. He only cooked his for like 20 minutes, but I have a feeling mine may take a little bit longer than that. Okay, here we go. Here we are, 45 minutes later. Oh, I'm still not sure if these are good and done. All the way on the inside. But let's get me a nice little corner piece out here. Looks good. Let's give it a bite. These are really, really good. I don't know that they're any better than just a regular box brownie. It's just a really good, like, fudgy, gooey brownie. I don't really taste necessarily the Dr. Pepper. Maybe I do. Maybe it's just my imagination. Who knows? But they're delicious. One thing is for sure, they're a whole lot easier than those Knock You Naked brownies I made last year. Friends, don't forget to download Toon Blast. You can use the link in my description box or this QR code. You'll get 3 hours of unlimited lives and 100 free coins. I hope I've done the old pioneer woman proud today, and I really hope that you'll enjoy making and eating these recipes as much as my family has. I appreciate you taking some time to spend with me today, and if you've not seen the last year's collab with the Pioneer Woman, I'll be sure and leave it up here on the screen so you can click on through to that. Until next time, I send you love from my kitchen.